Hello everyone. Today we have Mercer Mayer with us. So Mercer, tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Okay, well, I was born December 30th, 1943 in Little Rock, Arkansas. My mother was an artist and my father was in the Navy. I went to the elementary school in Camden, Arkansas, and we frequently moved after that and eventually resided in Honolulu, Hawaii when I was 13. I graduated from Theodore Roosevelt High School.
What were some activities you enjoyed as a child?
I mainly enjoyed snake and lizard hunting along with reading.
So Mercer, how did you decide becoming a writer and illustrator was the right career for you?
Well, I attended the Honolulu Academy of Arts for a year, and there I decided that I wanted to be a children's book illustrator. But my professors didn't agree with my career choice, and they thought I wouldn't be able to make a living at it.
So Mercer, how did this discouragement make you feel?
After that, I left the islands and moved to New York City. There I attended the art school week, where an art school director gave me even more devastating news. He told me I should just throw my portfolio away because it was so bad, so at that point I was just so angry I tossed it.
So what did you do after that then?
I then started working at an advertising agency and drew sketches in my spare time.
What did your sketches consist of?
They mainly consisted of things I remembered from my childhood, and some creatures I made up on my own. I did a lot of my sketches with pencil and paper, and then I'd scan them onto a computer, and I'd add color for most of my illustrations.
Mercer, can you please tell us a little bit about your writing style?
Well, my writing is meant for kids of a young age who are probably learning to read at this point, so I make sure that my illustrations are in full detail, so that way the children can use the background to help relate the words with the picture.
So, Mercer, aside from your career, would you mind telling us a little bit about your personal life?
Well, in 1973, I married my first wife, Mariana, and we lived in Connecticut. 5 years later, we got divorced. In 1979, I married my second wife, Jo, with whom I had two kids, a son, Len, and a daughter, Jessie. I now currently live in Roxbury, Connecticut with my third wife, Gina, who also helps me write the Little Critter books.
In your spare time?
Um, Besides creating books, I really enjoy playing guitar, painting, sitting by the river, and just taking walks in the woods.
Out of the books you've written and illustrated, what one do you think is really personal to you?
Um, I have to say there's a Nightmare in My Closet because it was a true story. When I was a kid, I was afraid of the dark. So before I went to sleep at night, I'd have to close the closet door. I'd have to hear the click of the latch catching, or else I wouldn't know if googly monsters were coming out. Then, if I heard the latch click during the middle of the night, I'd have to run.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your book, Nightmare in My Closet?
Nightmare in My Closet was about a boy who went to bed one night and decided to be brave and stay up until the nightmare came out of his closet. So as soon as the nightmare came out, he heard the door open, he turned the light on, and caught the nightmare. He had a toy gun and he shot him, and the nightmare started crying. He couldn't get him to stop crying, so the boy finally tucked him into his bed and they fell asleep together.
So, I hear you have a similar book called There's an Alligator Under My Bed. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Alligator Under My Bed is about a boy who thinks there's an alligator under his bed. So he has to carefully get into bed. He calls for his mom and dad to look under, but they never see the alligator. So he knew if he wanted to get rid of the alligator, he'd have to do it himself. So he put a trail of food from his room to the garage and followed the alligator. He then shut and locked the alligator in the garage and left a note for his dad saying if he needed help getting to his car, that he would help him in the morning.
So I hear you have a series. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Little Critter series?
The Little Critter series is about a character I created, and it's just a book directed for a younger audience and younger kids to understand that no matter what, their parents are always going to be there. Also, if you take special notice into the books, in each book, there's at least a spider, a mouse, or a grasshopper. This is so that young children can still enjoy without being able to
So why don't you tell us about one of the books? How about I Just Forgot?
I just forgot. This is a book about a little critter who remembered to do some things and would forget to do others. He'd also make excuses for some of the things he forgot to do, but he always remembered to kiss his mom goodnight. So the little critter doesn't necessarily always remember to do everything, but in the end of the book he learns that no matter what, his mom's always gonna love him.
So Mercer, why don't you tell us about one of your most popular books, When I Get Bigger?
When I Get Bigger is a book about the little critter and all the things that he could do, but he has to be big not to do them. Also, nobody knows, but When I Get Bigger also has another book because I'm big.
Oh really? Why don't you tell us about this book?
Well, let me get my drawings and I'll just show it to you.
Okay. So it first starts off with, because I'm big, I can drive myself to work. Because I'm big, I have my own job and can make my own money. Because I'm big, I have money to buy anything. Because I'm big, I can get married. Because I'm big, I'm gonna be a daddy. So, Marcia, is there anything you'd like to leave us with? I'd just like to mention my other book that isn't as famous as most of the others, Shibumi and the Kite Maker. This is about Japanese culture, and I'm very interested in that because it produced samurai movies. I traveled to Japan on business once, and I heard the word shibumi on the trip. I loved the way it sounded, except nobody could tell me what it meant, except for meaning something fashionable or in good taste. As far as I know, it has no bias in Japanese folk literature. Shibumi takes place in a culture that might have been, or in a place that exists even now, but certainly in my heart. Thank you once again, Ms. Mercer Mayer, for taking the time to talk to us about your personal life and how your books connect personally to you.